Hi and good morning, it's Gene from maverickstar Observatory. Dzień dobry. And I'll let you know why I'm speaking and saying hello in Polish a bit later on. As you know, it's Wednesday, and on Wednesday we get into the Earth Health at a Glance. And it is one of our pages on our website where at a glance you can see what is taking place. I'll just tell you briefly what we've got on here, and you can see that there's an archive of information going back from when we started doing the Earth Health at a Glance. So to start with, we've got the atmospheric CO2 parts per million. As you can see today, we got the carbon dioxide apparatus out, took the reading of the CO2 in the atmosphere, and you can see by the archive how it changes. It just fluctuates between 400 and 450 from week to week, and there is slight changes in all these things, like the oxygen in the atmospheric level usually is always around 21%. Sometimes it goes over a little bit, sometimes goes under a little bit. But the reason why we're doing this is that, you know, when the governments around the world and these organisations around the world are telling you about things like CO2 being a real destroyer of our planet, the truth of the matter is completely 180 degrees from what they say, and is generally the case on a lot of the things that they talk about. So by, you know, having the equipment to measure the true account of atmospheric oxygen, albeit here in the UK, remember, atmospheric oxygen in the reservoir in our atmosphere is fluid and is moving about, and on day to day it will increase and it will decrease. And I don't think you need to be on the top of a mountain in Hawaii to take the CO2 accurately. I think if you do it on the surface at any given point and then just record from that same location, in general most people will get an idea what's going on with things like the atmosphere regarding the reservoirs of oxygen and CO2. And you know, you can make your own decision, but the point is we've dedicated one page to all the information, and it gives you a broad overhaul of the Earth's health at a glance. And as you can see, we also added the latitude and longitude of the latest magnetic pole position, which is something you're only going to get from our observatory. We do a standard background radiation check. The reason why we're doing that is because most of the background radiation is interstellar, is coming from outside our galaxy and from inside our galaxy, and that is the overall background check of the radiation levels. Okay, again here in the UK only, but if you just imagine that the atmosphere reservoirs of not just chemicals in our atmosphere but radiation in that atmosphere is pretty much evenly distributed around the surface of our planet, and only on rare occasions when we align up with things like neutron stars do we get a little bit more radiation. But in general we get, you know, an average of 0.4 microsieverts, as you can see, over the hour. We've also recorded the volcanic eruptions that are taking place as of today. All this will be within the last 24 hours, like the information on the latest earthquake there. You can see in Tonga 5.9. That's just the largest earthquake that's happened in the last 24 hours. Another rare reading that you won't get anywhere else, I believe, from any other observatory that I know of, is the muons per hour per square meter. As you can see, I think it's slightly up from last week. Was it 488 without checking off the top of my head? Well, we are at 512, and again it fluctuates between 100 over 5 or below 500. Sunspot numbers, that has changed for the first time since we've been doing our at a glance Earth health. As you can see, there is one sunspot. If you go on to POLESHIFT News, look under solar data, you'll see where that sunspot is on the disk. We get a lot of images from NASA which are changed and updated every day, and as a result we still, even though we've got one sunspot, we've still got a quiet geomagnetic field, so there's no geomagnetic storms to worry about, and there isn't a large influx of solar X-rays. As you can see, that is at standard. However, our jet streams are unsettled, and you know why that is. If you've been following the channel, you know that they're unsettled because there is intermixing now with subtropical and polar jet streams both over the northern hemisphere and over the southern hemisphere. And if you hang on to the end of this video, we're going to show you what happens when we start to have things like this take place, where large jet streams deliver that polar Arctic climate down into a subtropical region. And I'll show you at the end of this video what are the results of that. We'll have a look at what's just happened in the last 18 hours in Vietnam, which is quite shocking. We've got coming up in around early November a little trip, and the reason why I booked the trip for me and my girlfriend was because it's so freaking cheap right now to get flights, and so long as the corridor is open we'll go. But even if it's not, we're not going to lose a lot of money, because at the moment Ryanair are doing flights to Poland for £10, and there's a good reason why I wanted to do some footage and bring it back to you guys, because I wanted to show you Auschwitz, which we're going to go to when we're there. Most of you will know what Auschwitz is. It's one of the concentration camps during the Second World War. And also we're going to visit Schindler's factory. If you've ever seen the film Schindler's List, you might be interested in that. So just moving on then to the effects of what jet streams do, and just to put it into perspective of really the sort of conditions that we live on this planet, whilst all these activities are changing and our climate is getting affected by cosmic rays. I just wanted to show you, if we focus on just this region here where that little green circle is, and it's over the continent of Vietnam, and you can see this big polar jet stream coming straight down into the subtropics, but then we've got this cyclical event taking place which is swirling round the coastline and inland of Vietnam. Now obviously when you get cold air meeting warm air, you're going to get precipitation, and when it's low towards the equatorial region, that's going to not be in the form of snow. It was the opposite way round. We was getting that warm air go up into the cold region, it would precipitate as snow, but in this case we're getting rain. So just let's show you where that region is, what we're just looking at. If we just go on to this, we can see here's Vietnam, the area that we're talking, and we'll show you now what were the results of that rain coming down. And as you can see, Vietnam faces deadly flooding disaster, and that was a report from the Red Cross. Millions of people in Vietnam face a deadly double disaster as the country, let me just read the last bit of that paragraph, already suffering from the impact of COVID-19, battles its worst floods for decades, the Red Cross says, obviously. So not only has 178,000 affected in Vietnam, it has affected millions of people across that region, and that's a direct result of cosmic rays on the increase in our atmosphere, causing the jet streams to go really sluggish. And in some cases we end up with super jet streams. We don't have those nice little two patterns of polar jet streams and subtropical. What we're getting now is quite something new. Around the last 20 years this became a normal phenomena, or a normal acceptable phenomena in these times, and as a result people are being displaced. Now it doesn't mean that this is just related to regions like this that have regular monsoon seasons. That's expected. These events are unexpected events. It's not just in Vietnam. We're seeing the South China Seas, temperatures stooping into those sub-zero temperatures for prolonged periods of time, destroying crops. I mean, here we're just talking about the houses of destruction. We're not talking about the crop destruction, but obviously there has got to be crop lands destroyed here, which I believe Vietnam is probably a very big rice staple food grower, not just for its own people but an exporter in that. But I can tell you this, if it continues to have once in decades worth of rain and floods to the point where it floods the properties to the roof lines that you can see, the crops are going to be damaged, and as a result the exports are going to stop, and it's even going to be difficult to feed people on the ground in those countries. Now, this can directly affect us in more than one way. It can directly affect us if this sort of thing happens in our region where we live, and it could be anywhere in Europe, as I've reported over the last few weeks. The big floods that happened in France and other places. In fact, you don't have to do much searching to find disasters happening virtually every day with regards to floods. And the reason why we're getting those floods is because of the extra inbound cosmic radiation, which science is only now coming to that same conclusion and accepting that fact. This is something we've been talking for many years on our channel, and hopefully that's one of the reasons why you follow us. We are not out the neck of the woods yet, and we certainly haven't reached equilibrium with any of these things. Now, it's not just crop failures, it's not just destruction to properties, that we are all vulnerable at times like this. It's actually human behaviour, which is a real concern for me, and that's why I wanted to bring you along with us when we go early November to Krakow, and when we go and have a look at places like the Auschwitz, because it's a reminder of human behaviour and how sad and unbelievable we can behave given certain circumstances. We'll have a look at Schindler's Factory as well, and I'll also, if you're up for it, I'll go to a few of these restaurants and you can sample, or obviously not taste it, but you can see some of the cuisine that is, their national dishes like pierogi and things like that. If you're interested, I'll do a video on it. But I'd love you to come to see the Auschwitz, which is the concentration camps during the 1940s, where some of the worst atrocities took place. It wasn't just in Poland that this was happening. I mean, there was the major blockade in Russia, I think in St. Petersburg. It was probably called something else now. I know that region has been changed 3 times, but there was in 1 year reported 2,000 arrests of cannibalism or cannibals, and 100,000 people during that months of the blockade were killing each other literally over food rations. And it just, hopefully, all this brings it home to you that we are very capable of going back into behaviours like that when we are pushed to extremes like that. And certainly, guys, we are facing that. It's not just that we are having to, like these people in Vietnam, deal with the COVID outbreak. It may not be the COVID outbreak, it could be just the policies that are implemented as a result of what they are saying about COVID-19 right now. But the point is this, is that we will all agree, won't we? Even if we don't agree on what COVID-19 is and how dangerous it is, I think what we will all agree on is the policies that are implemented on ourselves, and the freedoms that we're losing is something that definitely is affecting us as a result of COVID-19. So I'm going to leave it here, guys. I'm going to mention the link down there. We need support for this channel to keep doing what we're doing. We've added an extra workload by delivering now the Earth Health at a glance for you guys, so that you don't have to visit several websites or even go onto my website and visit several pages of information. You can come to that one page and get a general idea of what is taking place in your world, and it should be of importance to all of us, because we all take for granted our beautiful blue planet in this solar system, and we also equally know that it's the only habitable planet in our solar system or within reach of our technology. So we should give it the utmost respect and appreciate it a little bit more than what we do. And I do understand why sometimes that luxury is not afforded to everybody. I do understand that. But we do an important job here. I hope you agree. We deliver some bespoke information that is not found even on some of these bigger organised organisations like like NASA, the European Space Agency, and other places of information, if you want to call them even that, like NOAA or the British Geological Survey. We do our own little thing here at this observatory, and I just hope that we continue to be supported. I did mention earlier on in this month that we have lost one of our biggest contributors to the channel, and it is going to cost us probably about 600 to 800 pound a month. That just those couple of people. So more than ever now, guys, and coming into those winter months when everything slows down for our observatory, even more so now is the time to take us under your wing and keep us going through this climate that we're facing right now. So I will leave it there, guys. Hope you're interested in seeing our little trip to Poland beginning of November, and I'm sure we'll have lots of things to talk about from now till then, but I'm really looking forward to that. And if you're in the UK or in parts of Europe and you want to get yourselves over to Krakow, maybe we'll even bump into each other. So I'll end it here. Just mention very briefly, the link's down there. You can become one of our patrons if you want, but most of all, guys, keep yourself safe and look after your family members. As always, bye for now.